Hey guys, it's John here. Today we're going to talk about the pitfalls of real estate investing. The hard stuff, the downside, the dark side, whatever you want to call it, right? The stuff the gurus don't talk about. Today we're walking the Branchwood house. So what happened with this was that it was set to be on market, right? It had a contract pending, and we had a buyer. Like I said, contract was pending, everything was going pretty good. And then all of a sudden, being in Texas, we had a hailstorm, man. Can you believe that? A hailstorm came through, knocked out the roof. We called the insurance guy, and he came out here and it's like, dude, you need a new roof. I was like, dude, the contract's pending, bro. He's like, oh, you can't sell this thing without a roof, their mortgage company's not gonna let them do it. So I was like, damn, man, all right. So we've got a good relationship with the roof company. They can get out here. They'll be out here tomorrow, and they'll put this thing on here. But that was like a month delay. The roofers are pretty busy right now after the big hailstorm came through. And then a couple of days later, just walking, checking out the house, making sure everything's okay. So a couple of days later, another storm comes through. Another one. I was like, dude, what? This is Texas, it's Dallas. We got these storms coming. Need to replace that bulb right there. We got storms coming in here, and my fence falls down. I was like, what the? I was like, come on, man, the fence falls, man. So, you got to be kind of flexible and then mentally tough, being a real estate investor, especially when you're starting out and you don't have too much money to put in this thing. So, I'm going to have to hold this thing a month longer than I expected. And you're probably thinking, well, dang, man, that sounds kind of scary. I was like, well, and how do you factor in something like that, Well, let me tell you how you factor in something like that. Okay, when you do your rehab estimations, you add some time, however long it takes your contractors to say, hey, it's going to take us a month to do this. It's going to take, at the very beginning, when you're putting in your offer to buy the thing, and you estimate your holding time, right? Because you got to factor in the cost of money, hard money, private money, whatever kind of money you're using. You say, okay, so the contractors tell me that it's going to take 3 months to rehab the house, to get it in good condition for, maximum ARV, right? Maximum after repair value. And I'll talk about how to calculate ARV in a different video. But so a contractor tells you, okay, well, it's going to take us 3 months, and you always get 3 bids from 3 contractors with the same SOW, the same statement of work, right? So you pick whichever one you don't necessarily pick the lowest one, but you can, of course, most of the time I do that. But if you feel comfortable with the different one, you don't necessarily pick the high one either, but you have to have three contract bids. But anyways, so what you do is you say, okay, they say it takes 3 months, right, to do this. Now you factor in extra time, right, depending on the scope of the rehab. And this rehab here, it didn't take very long. It took a couple weeks. So I said, hey, look, everything. Okay, so the two biggest things, right? This is real important here. The 2 biggest things that get miscalculated when flipping houses, and everybody will tell you this is right. It doesn't matter which guru or which person you talk to, if they've ever flipped a deal. The 2 biggest things are the number one biggest thing, miscalculating ARV. That's the biggest thing. Don't get your numbers from wholesalers or your realtor or anything like that. You need to get it from a realtor, the comps, but you have to estimate your own ARV, and I'll go through that later. But the number one reason, the number one mistake in flipping is miscalculating ARV. And the second biggest reason is miscalculating rehab costs, okay? So when you're calculating rehab costs, factor in extra time, factor in extra money. So what we do is we have in my investor group, we have a oops factor, hedge factor, oh crap factor, whatever you want to call it, right? So what we say is, okay, no matter what, we're going to add, depending on the size of the rehab, we're going to add 10% to the rehab costs from what the contractor tells us. Or we're going to say, hey, we're just going to add, if it's a light rehab, we're going to add $1,000 or $2,000, but we're going to add something. We're going to add something to it. And we're going to add a month or two to the estimated time frame just for this type of circumstance right here. Because we don't, man, if you're going to have to hold, hard money for a month or two more than you thought, that hurts. And I ended up having to replace the air conditioner. One of the air conditioners busted out as I was selling this thing. Man, this is, it's not a bad house, but sometimes stuff happens, and I'll show you what this new air conditioner looks like. But you have to overestimate the rehab cost. So here's the one that we had to replace right here. And I think you saw the picture of the old one. It's an old piece of junk, but it's been there and it's been working. It worked fine, but people weren't wanting to buy with that old, it was like 10 years old or something. So I was like, man, okay, another $3,500, that I didn't estimate. But I put in that extra rehab cost oops factor, so that helped out a little bit. And of course, the fence falling down. The fence falling down, that didn't help anything either. This whole section right here, boom, this whole section right here fell down into this dude's and into the neighbor's yard. So had to get a fence guy out here and fix that up. But so that's kind of, it can be a little stressful to have this kind of stuff happen to you when you think you got it under contract. You think it's going to be sold in 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before closing, right? And then all this stuff happens to me. But this is, and another point though, this is all part of real estate investing. You can't get, if you do enough deals, man, you can't get away from doing this, from this type of circumstance. So what I'm telling you guys is you got to factor in at least an extra month, depending on the size of the rehab, maybe more. If it's a big rehab, contractor say, hey, it's going to take us 3 months. Factor in 2 months. But also factor in the time it will take to sell the house, right? And guess what, guys? Most people are going to tell you, oh, all you got to do is look at days on market. No. That's wrong. Days on market. Okay, here's a big tip for you guys, and this is what's very seldom taught by these freaking gurus. I mean, I got nothing against gurus. I go to the gurus and I get their courses. I learn as much as I can. But they don't tell you the dark side, man. They tell you, oh yeah, I flipped this house. I got $33,000 or $35 or $1 million or whatever it was, right? But how long in between deals, How long did you suffer and struggle? I mean, this is a struggle, man. Sometimes, real estate investing is ups and downs and kind of lulls in between. But, when you get the check, it's up. And you get high, you're like, yeah, all right. But when you get stuff like this that happens, man, you're like, oh, crap. Oh, get the phone call. Oh, dude, your fence is in my yard. Come get it. I'm like, oh, God, all right. But you got to have the mindset. You got to never give up. You got to understand this type of thing. You got to be flexible, right? You got to understand this kind of thing is going to happen in real estate investing. All right, so what I was saying earlier was about the how long it takes really to sell a house, and you add time to that too. So when you're factoring your holding costs, right, you don't factor in, and this is what everyone says, you factor in, and you're probably going to say it too, days on market. No, not days. Days on market is those lucky ones that were able to sell fast, okay? What you really want to factor in, and this will get you right here, is you really want to factor in the consumption rate, right? The consumption rate divided by the inventory level, right? The consumption rate is how many houses sold within a given time, right? In the neighborhood, right? Neighborhood is the best way, zip code's the second best way, but in the neighborhood, same thing while you're doing comps, right? In the neighborhood, how many houses sold in what particular time frame? And you're saying, well, what's the particular time frame? It depends, right? If your houses in that neighborhood are selling like crazy, you can do 2 or 3 months. If they didn't sell very fast, you can do 4, 5, 6 months. But the consumption rate is how fast are these houses selling, right? Okay, what are the sold houses, right? And then the inventory level, you get this from, wherever you can get pending sales, active sales, right? The inventory level is how many active properties there are at the current time. So if there are 2 properties, 3 properties for a month, your inventory level is 2 per that month, right? So you divide the consumption rate by the inventory level, and you get, say, a month and a half. So you got to factor in a month and a half, and then you add another half a month for that. Plus, you add that to the time it takes to the rehab. Plus, you'd probably want to add in some time for messed up closing, because that happens quite a bit. So, my point, I mean, that might get confusing. I said a couple of things and stuff. But the main point is, right, find the correct estimate of rehab from your contractor, find the consumption rate, find the inventory level to get the true number of how long it takes to sell the house. And then you factor in all this another month or 2, depending on, like I said before, depending on the length of the rehab. Factor in extra money, extra time, and you'll be all right, man. I mean, and things will always come up. They'll always seem like something goes wrong, but in the end, when you cash the check, it's all worth it. And as long as you factor in all that stuff, then you'll be all right. And I'll follow up with this house when we sell it. Maybe before, if some other stuff goes crazy, but looking for another deal. So if you're in Dallas, you want to partner on deals, or if you want to find deals, I'm going to do another video here shortly about how you can do some driving for dollars, and we can partner together maybe, and see if you want to make money driving around, or if you know anybody who does, or if you want to partner on deals, whatever. Give me a shout, comment, subscribe. Give me a call, text me, Facebook me, link me, tweet me, whatever. I'm everywhere, so looking forward to talking to you, and I hope this helps. Peace out. I wish you much success in your business and your life, and be a light, speak truth, and change lives, man. All right, peace.